What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Voice of the Heroes podcast. I am your host, the one and only one, Fleetboy Jetson. And today we have a very special guest with us, Michael Yurchak. Please welcome him to the channel. And also we have our co-host, Hidden Rose and Milo Uchiha. And like I said, if you're new to the channel, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, click that notification bell so you can be notified for upcoming interviews from your favorite heroes. And in this case, your favorite villains in all your favorite animes. So now let's get into the interview. Michael, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Getting ready for the end of the year. Getting all wrapped up. It's a lazy. You should see the inside of my house is covered with sleeping teenagers and a grumpy wife. So so I come out to the studio and I'm hanging with you guys. I'd rather be out here.
It must have been a busy year for you, man, with all the conventions and all the things going on. Tell us a little bit of how you wrapped up the year.
Yeah, this well, so I just started doing cons at the end of, or I should say, the beginning of 2022. I did sort of a handful that year. This was my first year of doing them sort of on the regular. And so yeah, it was crazy, man. I did at least one a weekend or one a month. I was never a guy that did, so some guys will be out there, they're doing, 3, 4 a month, just burning it on all ends all the time. And I can't say I had that option, but I don't know that I could have done it anyway. Doing 2 a month fries you up. It's hard. It's exhausting, it's a gift and I love it, but it's also like, I come back after one of those weekends. It's a lot of handshaking, a lot of uptime, and you get back and it takes me a couple of days to kind of recalibrate. But so yeah, I finished doing a bunch though. I had a big run of Kansas City, Minneapolis. There was a store signing in San Clemente, California, and then LA Comic Con, and sprinkled in there a couple other little things with friends and family and so on. So it feels like a long time since I've had a day off.
The traveling must be exhausting, huh?
It's hard, I mean, it's again, it's like I would never complain. Actually, it's funny. So you guys know Brian Donovan, who's the voice of Rock Lee, and Tom Gibbons, who's the voice of Shikamaru. The three of us are kind of buddies. We call ourselves the nice guys, because all three of us early on in the con game made a promise where it was just like, listen, if you ever catch me like actually complaining about being invited to cons, just punch me in the face. Because
yeah, they was some about dopest interviews. I'm not gonna lie, both of them had a very strong passion for their characters.
Yeah,
I want to get your take. Speaking of your character, also being that Obito is probably one of the most greatest villains in Naruto franchise. How did you make him so deep? He is. He's definitely one of the greatest villains in the Naruto universe. Me personally, I think it's like maybe Madara, Obito. Like those two is like, my God, they're way up there. How did you make him such a likable villain? Because sometimes you have these villains that you just can't stand and you're rooting against. Obito came around and he was one of the ones where you felt some type of empathy for him and you felt his pain. How did you make him so likable through your voice?
Gosh, I mean, first of all, that's a generous question because, I'd love to say that it was all me. I mean, of course it's the writing, and it's the art, probably first. I'd like to think I had something to do with it. I mean, here's the truth is, I'm not that big of a badass. I don't know. I don't know if you can tell that. All right. So it's like, I can only do, I mean, and this is true for every actor in every role. You got to look what's on the page, but then you also got to look what's in your heart, and you bring part of yourself to anything that you do. And the beautiful thing about Obito as a character is that by the time the reveal happens, spoiler alert, right? It's like he's pissed and he's dark, but first there's the whole splash of the surprise, right? So there's that whole thing. So people are kind of shaking their head for the first 8 or 9 episodes that he shows up anyway.
Yeah, one of the biggest plot twists in anime.
Right, but then we really discover pretty quickly you know, after the reveal happens, that he's wounded, man, you know. And the thing is, that for me was what stuck out most, was that this is not just a guy, you know, that's rotten inside. This is a guy who was broken by the pain that life had to deal out to him, and he made a bunch of bad choices, you know. And I've made some bad choices, you know. So it's like, it's my favorite thing about him is that the audience sees his pain first. He sees it second, and then he starts to, you can see the conversation and the fight with Kakashi and then Naruto working on him, and then he makes a decision and he finds redemption in the end. And for me, that whole story was so beautiful and touching. And you know, I mean, it's a redemption story is you know, it's always been something that I've been fond of, but it's also, you know, in my own life, I feel like I could relate, especially at the time when I was really doing it, like digging into it and so on. And you know, so I think that I was channeling some stuff. And again, I would never sing my own praises about the performance itself. I can just tell you what I was feeling, you know.
Yeah, because he had some of the deepest lines.
Yeah.
What was more fun for you to voice, Toby or Obito?
um, well, I mean, pound for pound, right? It's like Toby was funnier, right? But that's something that I had done a lot of before, and I was hired to do Toby, right? I was
Mhm.
hired just to, you know, just leave it to Toby, okie dokie. Like that whole the funny stuff was how I got the gig. I was in the job on the last day of recording Toby, which I did not know was the last day of recording Toby. It was for a video game, and it was like, I was doing the video game, and then they sort of had all the Toby lines stacked up, you know, on a spreadsheet. So I'm reading and I'm reading and I'm reading, and then you realize, or I suddenly realized, based on like the way that the lines were laid out, oh, that's it for Toby. He's done. And I thought, well, you know, I'm fired. Yeah, that's the end of my job. The next line was Toby slash Obito. And I was just in the booth, like kind of sulking, basically, you know, like sort of pissed off.
Mm.
And I started, I don't know, just kind of doing stuff. And I read the next line as what I imagined a badass would sound like, because it was a badass line. You know, look at me. There's nothing in my heart. I don't feel pain any longer. You know, and it was like I just started playing around. And the engineer, as I recall, was just like, hey, if you had to, could you keep that up? Like, could you do that over a full episode? And I was like, yeah. So he said, you know, let's do a couple of these lines. So we did. And then he gave me a break. And then 15, 20 minutes later, he had sent it off to, you know, the powers that be. And he came back and he was like, so, you know, we're going to have you do Obito for the rest of the
Oh
series.
man,
Oh my
congratulations.
God.
What do you think was the line that got him? Like you feel like, all right, Michael is the choice for Obito. Let's keep him going.
I think it was the look at me. There's nothing in my heart. You know, I think it was
Mm.
that one. And then it turns, and that, just to finish the answer to that question, it's like, you know, I had never gotten, you know, because I again, it's I don't think I present as much of a badass. So so it's like getting to do, you know, sort of like the brooding dark guy. Uh was really fun, because I never get to do I had never gotten to do that before. And then the funny thing is that through finding that voice for that character, I've now done a fair number of kind of darker characters, and the darker characters that have sort of a double side is I don't know that it's a specialty, but it's certainly in my bag, you know. So yeah, I like them both. That's the short answer.
Speaking of being in the studio, can you give us the funniest or unexpected moment that you had in a recording session?
Well, I mean, if I'm being honest, that's the story I just told is probably it. But I mean, you know, with the we never during the recording of episodes of the show, we never got scripts, like full scripts, and we never knew the whole story.
Mm.
And when we were really recording like the thick of it, streaming services didn't exist at all or barely existed. So um, you really had to be kind of an anime fan, like real anime fan, to even know where to watch this stuff, and I was not. And so I had never seen it. I'd never read the manga. I didn't know anything about it. So all of the stuff that was going on always was, uh, you know, being revealed to me, and it was a surprise every time in the app. Like we'd be saying the line, and you'd say that, you'd be like, "Oh shit," like you'd figure it out as it was happening. So when Obito reveals that he wants to suspend everybody in the Infinite Tsukiyami, that for me was a big. I was like, wait a second. So I stopped, and I was like, can I just get this straight? Because I don't know what the Infinite Tsukiyami is at this time, because I had never seen it before. So I was like, is he? So he's saying he wants to kill everyone on the whole planet, the director is like, I mean, it's not actually kill, but yeah, pretty much. And I was like, all right.
Pretty
He's got some
intense.
anger issues right now. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
he
like,
was
he
definitely
does.
a
But
planetary threat.
it's gonna be revealed that the reason why, and this is when I really discovered it all. He's like, but the thing is, you should know the reason why he's doing that. He doesn't want to kill everybody. He's not just like wiping out the population. What he's doing is sparing everyone from having to feel the darkness of the pain that he experienced when Reen died. And so that's what this is all about. And I was like, wait a second. So he wants to suspend everyone, so because he wants to help them in a way. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I think that's it. So for me, that was like the boom moment of like, I know this guy. This guy, like,
Mhm.
this is a hurt guy. They say there's this saying that hurt people. And so this is a hurt person. And that's all. That's what's going on. And that was like a big
Man, they
spot.
say the best villains are the ones who, feel like they're doing the right thing.
I want to know because we looked at your catalog and you've done a lot of work across the years, in many different forms of media, right? I want to know, like, through it all, like, what is like the most fulfilling or your favorite aspect of voice acting?
Well, that's a great question too. So first of all, I mean, you're not limited to the way you present, right? It's like, that you sound a way, and that's going to be, your authentic self comes through, I think, at some point. Um, and that's, both, it's a good thing in the end, but it can limit what you have access to, probably. But the flexibility and the range of options that you get as a voice actor is so much great. I mean, I'm a small guy. I'm getting to be an older guy. I'm like I have stuff about me that makes it so that on camera I can only really play certain roles anymore, and even all throughout. In voice acting, I still go in for kids, for like
Yeah, yeah.
teenagers. I go in for, old men. I go in for animals. I go in for, all kind, villains and heroes, and dads in educational programming, and bad guys in goofy cartoony type shows, and all that kind of stuff. And it's super fun as an actor to get to flex like that as much as we do. It doesn't always work out. It's like, I can't I'm not telling you that I get all of those roles, but I get a shot at all of them. And they tell you right from the beginning when you're getting started as an actor that it's like, you gotta love what you do, and you have to sort of treat the auditioning process as opportunity to get to do it. And so for me, I'm sitting right next to, this is my booth right here, right? So I'm sitting right next to my booth. I come out here, this is my own little spot. This is, as I said, like, me and my family's going crazy inside right now. Um, I've got an office out in my garage with a recording booth. I come out here and I make some art. I do my thing for a while, and I love it. Like, I really, really love it. And when it works out, then of course you love it even more.
Right,
But
right, right.
but even when it doesn't work out, it's great. And so that for me is, for voice acting, I can do it all right here. I can that's everything from auditioning to sending off the final version. Um, and I get to do all kinds of different stuff, is my favorite part.
Well, that's amazing. That is amazing because yeah, it's like the way you put it, it's art, and then you are able to expand that art into like different avenues, like you said. You can be versatile. You can be old or young, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
One thing that I did notice, especially with talking to like the different voice actors that we've had the opportunity to speak with,
Hmm.
is that, and you've said it earlier with like going into Naruto, you didn't really know the genre. You got the job, you were able to do it, and then you were kind of learning the story piece by piece.
Hmm.
um when it comes to like the different medias and stories and things like that that you work on, like is there any one that like you got into and you're like, okay, I gotta breathe this story back? Like, what was your favorite story that like you were actually invested in one of the medias that you had the opportunity to work on?
Well, it's fun. It's interesting because it's, the thing is, if I do a movie, right, or
Hmm.
something like that, then you read the whole thing. Um, when you're doing a series, if it's a pre-record, in other words, like if you're originating a character, they at least give you episode to episode, so you read a full script. When you're doing anime, at least if you're doing anime that originated in Japan, which I think technically is all anime, but there's an American version of it now. But when you're doing anime, it has already been done. So you never get the information. And again, it's like, I mean, I teach a lot, and I teach acting, and one of the things I always sort of really demand of my students, and just try to really beat like a drum, is you like get all the information you can possibly get, because it helps to inform everything you do. And with anime, especially with the dubs, we really got no information. So it
Yeah.
was all about like sort of a conversation you're having with the director on the day of recording. Um, and that's really tough. So I mean, my in terms of like full on story, had I known what that, that Naruto was so epic, which I guess if I had been a real sleuth about it, because remember, like when we started doing Naruto, and like I started doing it in like 2007, everybody else started
Right.
doing it in 2004. Like the internet barely existed. And forget about forget about like streaming services or anything like that. So we didn't have information. Like you could go to the library, I guess, and dig,
Right.
which is that's what we used to do. Let's go to the library, but I didn't have the information, and but had I known, I would say in terms of like just the grandiose version of story, Naruto is definitely the big one. Um, but in terms of other stuff, I do a lot of theater, and I do a lot of or I used to do a fair amount of on camera stuff as well. And for that stuff, then you're getting a full project at once, and I'm like a Shakespeare guy, a classical theater guy, and the
Hmm.
closest thing to a Naruto kind of story is King Lear, is this giant epic play where the king makes all kinds of terrible choices, and screws up 100 different ways before realizing on his deathbed that he's made some errors. And that's kind of actually the plot to Macbeth and Hamlet and a bunch of other tragedies also. And Naruto is Shakespearean in scope, and that's my favorite stuff. So that's probably my favorite one.
With that being said, with all the anime becoming a lot more popular, what are some of the few projects either ongoing or coming out that you would like to work on?
Yeah, yeah. Well, so the right now I'm on a show called Bungo Stray Dogs, and we just finished recording our fifth season. I play a character called Ongo. That's another one that was revealed slowly to me. It was like the he was sort of like, he's a guy that has conversations at the beginning and the end of every episode, and it felt an awful lot like this guy is just there to kind of push the story along, so that so that the listeners like, here's what's going to happen, and then after the episode it'd be like, here's what just happened. And it all seemed a little boring to me, but a gig's a gig, and I'll take it. And then, though, like as the seasons have unfolded, you discover that he has a lot more to do and say behind the scenes, and and that kind of that came about. So that's happening, and I hope we get to do another season of that too. And I'm in another show called My Adventures with Superman, which
Oh
I'm
my God, that is one of my. Who do you play on there? I gotta know.
so I haven't been out yet. This is the weird thing. I did the episode. They made an announcement, a cast announcement, and then I went in to do pickups, and they were like, "We bumped this episode to season 2." And so then they pulled back on the like they took it off of IMDb even. But so I think in season 2, I come out as Winslow Shot is the guy's name. And if you're a DC fan or a Superman fan, you know that guy has an alter ego as a bigger villain later. So I don't know even if that is going to continue or not, to be honest with you. And they've told me nothing, and I'm not breaking any NDAs right now because they already announced that I was in it, but I haven't even seen my episode yet. But super exciting to get to be just even get in the room on a show like that because
I'm sitting here
you know,
excited for you because
yeah,
that
yeah,
was one of my favorite new cartoons that actually came
that's
out
right.
on Cartoon Network. I believe it's on, right?
Yeah, yeah, and
Toonami.
so on Adult Swim and HBO
On
both.
Adult Slim, that's what I meant. And it's
Yeah,
on Toonami, right? I believe.
yeah, yeah. I think.
Yeah, it's fantastic. If you haven't checked out Adventures of Superman, make sure y'all check it out. It's a great new retelling of the Man of Steel.
That's
So
also that one's kind of that the art in that is sort of anime inspired, it seems to me. You know, it's like it looks a little bit anime kind
most
of.
Western cartoons are now getting more anime
Yeah,
inspired
yeah,
with, Invincible and Vox Machina,
yeah,
and
yeah.
also a lot of Netflix originals. Milo,
And I gotta ask you, are you friends with any other voice actors of the Kotsky?
Yeah, so the Yuri Lowenthal, who's Sasuke, is a good friend, and Neil Kaplan, who's Madara, is a good friend. Um, and who else is Akatsuki? To be honest, I think we're the only three that are on the. There's sort of like a Naruto circuit where so it's um, uh, Doug Erholtz and Tom Gibbous and Brian Donovan and Yuri and Neil and I are the guys, and then Kate Higgins and Tara Platt and Miley, of course, and Colleen O'Shaughnessy is another person who's out there all the time. So it's like that group of about 10 of us are often at a con together, and we'll go do like a big Naruto panel. Sometimes it expands. Dave Wittenberg, who's the voice of Kakashi, is sometimes there. But I think the only actual Uchiha members that I really know are Neil and Yuri. Because we don't, we record all these episodes in isolation, even way before COVID. We wouldn't record from home before COVID, but we would, you'd go in and that you just do your lines, and you can sometimes hear the other person if they've recorded before you, so you'll get the benefit of hearing another actor's performance leading you into what it is you're saying, but mostly you're recording alone. And so at the best case scenario, you would meet someone as you were walking out and they were walking in, but mostly it was just you just kind of go in, you do your thing, you leave. So we only met one another after the show was already done and we were doing
mm,
conventions. So all those guys, I remember meeting Neil in Pasadena at Anime Pasadena, and he was like, I think a little skeptical also because the Madara side of Tobi was a pop already, and he had been signing for that pop, for years before I showed up. And then I was like, "Hi, I'm the new guy," and he was like, I think he was a little pissed about it, but he, welcomed me in with open arms, and we joke about it now because he was like, it was an adjustment, because also I didn't know enough about the show, to be honest with you, to understand that um, Tobi wasn't. I'm the only one that's ever called Tobi, so I was like, that's my character. but he, Madara's voice gets filtered through Toby for many episodes, and so it's his character too. And so we kind of had to figure out how we were gonna handle that when we were out there together, which is all good now. And again, we laugh about it to this day. But it's funny because we didn't. It's not like we lived through that together. We only figured it out in hindsight.
Are you into like any like debates? Like anybody ever say, "Oh, have you ever if Obito fights Madara?" Because that's what I'm about to ask. Like,
Yeah.
who do you think will win in a fight,
So
Obito or
these
Madara?
are funny because what I have found and learned, and I learned it like right away, is that always, I mean always, whoever's asking a question like that knows more than I do about it. Oh, Milo, well, there you went, came back. I thought I offended you. I know that person always knows more than I do. So, my answer, it's an easy answer for me is Obito would win, because it's not gonna be, but I actually, from what I understand, I actually do think that there's that awesome scene where they're like connected by the space age, like the Jinchuriki like umbilical cord.
Yeah,
And,
I was just
and
thinking
oh
about that. I was thinking about
yeah,
how like they had a little altercation where it seemed like they weren't as cool as we thought they was,
that's
and I
right,
was,
exactly. Well, and then and Obito, what he has that awesome line. He's like, uh, in short, you're in a very delicate position right now, where you're entirely at my mercy. Don't forget that. And and because they're one, and Madara's not even alive really. He's like sort of like floating around in the universe, and Obito's his lifeline. And he's plugged in, but he's like, you don't do it without me, asshole. you know
Gotta let them know.
that's right, that's right.
I got one more question. And this doesn't relate to Nard, so I got my question out regarding that. Um, I seen that you were a voice actor in GTA 5.
Uh-huh.
Um, what were you doing in there? Can you let me know about that?
Yeah, so well, so it's funny, I was in GTA uh 3 also. In one of them, I'm just a talk show host on one of the radio stations, where like if you steal a car and you can, one of the stations they have is a talk show host, which is like a debate between a Macintosh user and a PC user. And I think I play the Mac user. And it's just two nerds having a conversation on television. I'm one of the nerds. So it's like the weirdest. That's deep. You got to go deep into the game. On the other one, I don't remember if I have like a more significant character, but I do know that like every fourth guy that you bump on the street is me being like, "Hey, fuck you." It's like I don't know if I could get to swear on this show, but there you go. It's like beat it
We
out if you have
fine. It's cool. We there with
to.
it.
Or just all
Yeah.
right, last one. Are you going to be in GTA 6? Is there any talk about it? Are you ready to let me know? Let us know.
I don't. If it were to happen, I would be. I'm certain I wouldn't be able to let you know. But I guess you never know, and I hope so. I'd love it.
Yeah. Are you hyped for that game, man? Are you
Yeah,
hyped?
Mike. It's funny. My kid is the perfect target. But he's 15. That the game is like, it's violent. There's a lot of language in it. He gets to do all the stuff he's not allowed to do. And as a kid, as a little kid, I like, everybody likes those games, but I feel like he's such a sweet spot for it, because for him it feels so naughty still, because he's still innocent enough that like he just can't get enough of it. And he's always like, "You just told me to fuck off," when he bumps the guy. He can tell where I am in the game, and that's super fun, because like he'll find me, and then I'll be out here working, and I'll get a text to be like, "Dad, get in here," and I go in, and I'm like, "What, buddy? I'm working," and he's like, "Just check this out," and then he'll see me,
Knock him to the guy.
"Hey, get the fuck out of here,"
That would be an
But
awesome moment for you. Is your son into anime as well?
he is he was not as big into it And you know, he was very little when we recorded those things. He was born in 2008, so I'd already started, doing it for his like earliest years. Way too young to see it. Um, and then when he got to be the age where kids were starting to watch it, it still wasn't as available. But then like you said, I can't remember who made the point, Flea, I think it was you, but it was like,
Yeah,
with um
COVID.
COVID, it dropped on Netflix and suddenly it just exploded. And at the very least, he started to see all his friends digging it. So then it became a little bit of cachet for him,
That's my dad.
yeah, yeah. So he digs
What
it.
an
He does.
awesome moment. All right, Rose, I know you got a few more questions.
Yeah, I was actually curious because you did mention that you're into theater, the Shakespeare's, but then you also do things like anime, video games and stuff. And that could be viewed as kind of niche in our society, and a
Mm.
lot of people can, kind of get backlash from that, like, like, oh, you're a nerd or whatever, things of that nature, right? Um, as for somebody who's like passionate like you, or say for us who are interested in anime and comics and stuff, like what's your advice for like people who would, like who's kind of like scared to be themselves in that kind of environment where they do feel like I can't tell people that I'm a fan of anime or that I'm into uh literature, drama, things like that. Like, how would you tell them to like, nah, just be yourself or anything like that?
God, that I love that question, man. I mean, listen, so I always preface everything by saying like I can't say that I have always marched this line perfectly, right? I don't I think we're all growing up all the time and we're all learning for our whole lives. We're all forever students of this game. But the thing I think I have learned the most is that when you are passionate about something, no matter what it is, that passion is it's what gets you through the hard parts of life, for one. And then also, ultimately, no matter what people want to say about it, everyone is attracted to passion. Everyone. So, meaning just that if you be you, the haters will come around. I mean, it just is the truth. And the thing is, and when you put it in terms of, you know, anime and Shakespeare or theater or film or whatever it is, that if you are lucky enough that your passion involves the storytelling that fuels an entire, you know, society, um, e- e- only the most narrow-minded people would not eventually come to see the good in that. And you don't want those people around you anyway,
Right, right.
um because like the world doesn't tick without story. People talk and we tell stories about ourselves. This whole interview has been me telling stories. You guys tell stories about, as a way of asking questions. You tell a story. Story is what gets us through life. And if you're connected to that in some way, um uh it's a gift. And then to be able to give back with that is even, more than a dream come true. But to the broader point, whatever it is you're into, your own authentic passion and your own authentic um, way of expressing yourself is just like there's nothing more important in the whole world. There's nothing more important, because trying to be like everybody else is always going to make you uncomfortable. If what you love to do makes other people uncomfortable, that's not your jam. That's not your fault. It's not your problem.
Mm.
Right.
We can't be ourselves unless we're comfortable, and that's the thing. I think you got to make yourself happy, and you will make other people happy.
Well
That's it.
said. Well said.
So the Uchiha clan, they get stronger after going through extreme depression or loss.
Mhm.
And do you consider anime or anything in Naruto to basically be a deeper meaning for real life? Like basically saying, I think you understand what I mean. Like
I
there's
do. I
deeper
do.
meaning in anime
Yeah.
if
No.
you pay attention.
Yes, I do. And again, it's like you guys are awesome because you're asking the right questions, I think. I mean, it's like I've said it, I feel like I keep I'm coming back to it again and again because I think that exact thing. I think that it's all a metaphor. It's all about coming back. It's all about making, you know, being able to see your error when you make an error, correct for that error, make amends for that error, do things for love, but understand that sometimes love is a fiery thing and can steer you wrong. And when it does, it's what corrects you or what gets you back is more love, and it's like, the hate part of it is usually what steers people off course, and then love brings people back. It's like love goes to hate goes to love is kind of the cycle,
Right.
um and I just it's it is it these are badass guys. These guys are they're rolling, and they're causing trouble, and they're overthrowing, and they're making people suffer. And it's like you said, it's based on a hurt. It's based on a pain that's underneath them. I mean, pain is called pain,
Yeah.
like it's like his damn
Right.
name. It's like these guys they're like, we catch them. We happen to see parts of their lives when some of them are pretty irredeemable, or they seem that way. But at the same time, it's, in the end, they find one another again. And it's like, I don't know, I think that the bond of brotherhood, family, good, passion, all of it, uh, comes through in so many ways. And it's just the way that, I don't know, it's, Tom and Brian and I, like those two, the three of us, like I said, right, we just kind of become boys. Like all three of us we're very close now. We talk to each other all the time. We have got a text chain going with them right now. um and it's like you discover these bonds in your life, early in life and later in life, and they make life possible. They make life enjoyable. They make, that you get to notice things with other people. I think. And that's the thing is, like you're driving down the street and you see something beautiful. I can appreciate it in my own heart, but I like to share it with someone. I think everybody has that in them. And there are certain things that I will share with certain people, and I know that they're gonna get more out of it than other people. When it's a good surf day, I share it with my son. When it's a when I see a beautiful piece of theater, I share it with my wife. When I find something out about anime or have a great interview like I'm having right now, I'm gonna chat with Brian and Tom about it. And it's like I love that the Uchihas, um they are family, like they are
Yeah.
family. And what's funny is at cons, I see people walking around with the blood cloud, and I'm like, Uchiha, Akatsuki or Uchiha or whatever. But it's like, come on, let's go. And there's a, I can't remember, gosh, what it was. I think it might have been Sacramento. um there was a woman, she had this like, what's that? That there's like a little Kia Boxster car, and it was totally, she had decked it out all Akatsuki. And then it was just
Mm.
like crazy. It got like all blood cloud interior, all the seats, like everything was all clouds and stuff. And it was just like, I love that kind of stuff.
The Naruto anime is known for its fight scenes. What's your favorite fight scene in the entire franchise?
Um, Easy answer. Uh, the Kakashi Obito fight to me is the best one. And I don't know if you guys know this. So you guys know Michael B. Jordan. You know who that is?
Yes,
Yeah,
Uh,
yes, yes.
so right. So I had heard, I think it was when I
he
was in
choreographed
Minneapolis.
Creed.
Creed 3.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Creed
yeah.
3
Creed
with the
3. So
Kakashi and Obito fight.
that's right. So in I think it was Minneapolis. Tom Gibbs was like, said that he had met, or no, who, Dave Wittenberg, I guess, met Michael, or yeah, I think met him, and heard that uh he was a big Obito fan, or a big Naruto fan in general, but specifically that that the Obito Kakashi fight was his favorite thing, and that he based the final fight in Creed 3 on that fight. And I was like, that's awesome. There's no way that's true, but that's awesome. On the flight home, I watched Creed 3 on the plane, and the final fight, if you haven't seen it, is like frame for frame that same thing. So I actually on Instagram I sent an instant message to Michael B. Jordan being like, I know you're never going to see this, but maybe one of your people sees it. I'm the American voice actor for Obito. My buddy is the American voice actor for Kakashi. We love you. We think you're awesome. We see you working. The fact that we got to be part of your process, even for a flash in the pan, is beyond an honor. And we'd love to, I'd love to shake your hand someday. But anyway, so yeah, that's my favorite fight for sure. And if I got to do a second one that isn't just me, the Guy Sensei Rock Lee fight is the other one. Is that the one? It's Rock Lee. When he takes the weights
that's
off.
Gaara.
Yes,
That's Gaara.
Gaara.
Yeah,
That's it.
Gaara and Rock Lee.
Yeah.
Definitely, those are some great fights. Now, your top 3 animes of all time. Not what's popular, your opinion, because your opinion matters. So your top 3 animes, what got you maybe into anime, what you feel like is your horse of anime.
So you got to know that I'm not like a gigantic anime guy. I mean, I am because I've done a lot of it, but I'm not. I haven't watched as much as I think you guys have. But Naruto goes number 1. I'm an old school guy, so I used to watch Ultraman long ago, and then the new Ultraman came out, and I actually got to do a bunch of episodes of that.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so I love Ultraman. And then the one that I think is the coolest that I would love, you had asked earlier if I'd like to be in anything. Chainsaw Man is like currently I love the all the guys that I see at the cons that are dressed as Chainsaw Man, I think are awesome. And it's that's one that looks really great to me, but I haven't watched much of it.
Is it good? Like, you guys know Flea?
Well, I actually put up a community poll for, we did a whole bunch of categories for the best anime of 2023, best visuals, and one of the categories was best anime of 2023 with Blue Lock, Chainsaw Man, a couple of other ones up there. And it looks like from our audience, they all love, I think 48% was Chainsaw Man. The other 43% was Blue Lock. So it's like going toe to toe right now on our polls. If you're not voting, make sure that you vote and check out our community tab. Michael, thank you so much. Let people know where they can find you at on social media. And do you have any cons coming up for next year?
Yeah, thank you. So on social media, at Michael Yurchak on Instagram, that's the best one. And believe it or not, it actually really does matter. Because when it comes to cons, what they need to know is that when they're inviting people, that they have sort of enough of a base that they can count on some ticket sales, that you bring in something, because it costs them money to bring us out. They don't really pay us, but they do pay to get us there. So I appreciate the Instagram love if it's out there, at Michael Yurchak. I'm on TikTok and Facebook too, but Instagram's the one. And I am. What was the other question?
Oh, do you have any cons coming up? Maybe. For
Oh yeah,
next year,
cons. So
or anything scheduled?
Washington anime is coming up in Tacoma in January. Then I'm going to Brooklyn to a toy store in Brooklyn in February, and we're working on DC Awesome Con for March right now. We'll see if that happens, but that's in the works. So.
If
One
I
a
can
month,
get any of the
January,
links
February,
for
March.
those, they will be in the description below, so you can get your tickets if you're in Washington, New York area. If I can get the
I'll
link,
send
they
you
will
that
be in the
stuff after
description.
offline too. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right. So, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure talking to you and an honor. Hope to see you back someday.
Definitely.
And if you're watching at home, man, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is Voice of the Heroes. For more interviews on your favorite voice actors, tune in, click that notification bell, and until next time, love yourself, pass that love on, and love others. We're out of here.
Sing it with me, pretty